If you want to understand Brexit and what happened last night, Britain's relationship with the EU, the whole thing, stop. Don't think about that stuff. It's not really about that. This is a global phenomenon. This is a revolt against technocracy and elites telling everybody else what to do. At the end of the day, for the past 20 years, 80% of the people have been told 80% of the time by the top 20% what to do, what to think, and what's good for them. Guess what? They've figured it out. The 20% needs to listen, because if they don't, they're going to find something out. The Hamptons is not a defensible position.
Hey guys, this is me, Crimson60620, and if you ever want to actually get some great art and help support my channel, help support me, check out my merch page at streamlabs.com/Crimson60620/merch. Here you can actually find great pieces of art, put on t-shirts, and it'll be updated frequently with a lot of my other art. So, thank you for support, and please enjoy the video. Thanks. What's up, everybody? This is Crimson60620, and I'm back in with another video. Remember, like, subscribe, and if you're a Patreon, of course, you'll get this about 3 days early. So, what I'm doing right now is I'm actually going to be making a video talking about how is there really an issue where state line matters, or doesn't it? Now, I saw this while I was doing work from home, and basically what I wanted to do is I saw an interesting picture, and that picture is how we really see the areas that we kind of actually go through. And so I saw the picture and I searched for the article, and it was a Washington Post article. So let's see what that Washington Post article actually says. All right, so what the U.S. map should really look like. State boundaries matter for all sorts of reasons. The state you live in determines how much your vote counted in the 2016 election. It shapes what kind of benefits your employer might offer you, what taxes you pay, and what schools you can attend, and much more. A little preamble to the article. Yet most state boundaries were drawn during the 17th through 19th centuries, says Garrett Nielsen, a historic geographer at Dartmouth College. I can never pronounce that college right. What we should think that areas were drawn up for horses and buggies still makes sense for interstates and telecommunications. So this is actually going to a key point where it's talking about how our transportations have changed, and something where, let's just be honest, the television broadcasting area has affected a lot of different things. But let's get more into it. Nielsen, along with Alasdair Ray of the University of Sheffield, has published new research in the journal PLOS ONE that shows that we may have to redraw state lines today. We're not, because people identify themselves by the state that they live in. But let's continue. If given the opportunity. Their insights have profound implications for how businesses and political leaders can better organize as a region to work towards policies and projects that help their communities, as well as how Americans should think about rural-urban divide following the 2016 elections. One of the biggest conclusions from our research is that familiar division of the U.S. into states isn't always the most useful way of thinking about how geographical patterns work in the 21st century, Nielsen says. In the study, the researchers used the algorithm to analyze the data on commuting paths of more than 4 million Americans from the U.S. Census data, or U.S. Census, that they then created maps to what they determined mega regions, cities, satellite cities, towns, and suburbs that are woven together to the communities where Americans live, work, and spend their free time. The researchers argue that these, rather than the current state lines, are the real units that make up the U.S. economy. So, you get an area like the area I'm in, Chicago. It's really considered Chicago and the 7 collar counties that affect it. And that even includes part of Indiana. You know, Hammond, sometimes as far as Gary. The map shows each mega region as labeled as a different color and all have one or more cities at their centers. The blue areas is centered around Chicago, for example, while the forest green stretches encompassing Baltimore and Washington, D.C. And this is the map. Now, I know it's a little bit fuzzy, but we're going to get into a little bit of a better breakdown later. To map out these mega regions, the researchers use the volume of commuter flow between locations as a proxy for economic connection between the two areas. For example, the map below of San Francisco Bay Area, longer and lower volume commutes are shown in the darker shades of red, while the shorter journeys are lighter shades of red. The map shows San Francisco, Oakland, and Sacramento are all main employment centers, as well as Stockholm, Modesto, and Santa Rosa. It also shows commutes and living arrangements broadly connect the areas into economic megaregions. And as you can actually see, the areas around here, Sacramento, it's almost like a web of traffic. Now, this is the map that caught my eye. The researchers then used the algorithm to identify the best boundaries to the 50 economic communities. That's how they created a map below showing what our 50 states might look like if they were redrawn today based on economic connections. And you actually can see, let me see if I can actually pull this image up a little bit bigger. Hold on. Now this is the image. And you have the little area, like Chicago, Indianapolis around here. You have places like the western part of Illinois with the Corn Belt in Iowa. You have the Omaha Great Plains. You have the middle of nowhere. You have the Salt Lake City area. You have the Albuquerque Plateaus. You have the Phoenix area, Las Vegas area. You have Los Angeles, San Diego, the Sacramento Bay area, Seattle, Portland. You have places like the Deep South, Atlanta, which has carved out an area, and then Charlottesville and Blue Ridge, Nashville, Louisville, Kentucky, Columbus. Have Boston. They just don't have anything up in this area right here, which is actually fucking amazing. You have Central Florida and Houston. Alright, so let's scroll this back down. Now, in the resulting map, Toledo gets absorbed into Michigan, while much of Iowa and western Illinois merge, as you can actually see before the map. Florida's panhandle is integrated into Alabama, while Little Rock and Memphis are merged together. And just going back to the map, Memphis or Little Rock around this area, and yeah, Deep South. And then down. The large area covering Montana and parts of Wyoming, Idaho, and Nevada, and other states are blank because this area is sparsely populated, and the people who commute there don't necessarily gravitate to a single urban area. The researchers say. As a result, the algorithm they use had difficulty recognizing specific mega regions across the area. That's this black hole of an area that nobody really lives in. And yeah, no. That's why it should be just one Dakota. I'm sorry, just tripping. Researchers say that the map offers a different perspective on the U.S. than those many people have adopted since the election. The election gave a picture of the economy that is starkly divided into urban and rural areas, yet these maps show that most parts of the country are actually economically well integrated, Nielsen says. This reality is that cities, suburbs, and exurbs and rural areas are all extensively connected to one another, not only by commuter traffic, but by all sorts of economic and social connections. While a voter in downtown Boston and a voter in rural Maine might not feel like they have much in common, our research suggests that they are actually part of an interlocking regional system, he says. Because maps offer a clear snapshot of the economic linkages, they may prove to be useful for business leaders and policymakers. And the researchers say they provide far more insight into how a given real estate development, retail business plan, or a newly constructed train line would affect local economies compared with the data on metro regions that the census regularly tracks. The Brookings Institute, a think tank, and the Regional Plan Association, a research and advocacy organization, have both been pushing for more research into mega regions. Businesses and political leaders in some large metro areas have begun thinking about how they can better organize a region to accomplish their goals. In the Washington area, a private sector leaders led by investment banker Russ Ramsey and professional sports owner Ted Leninus, fresh off a failed attempt to lure the 2024 Olympics to town, are reorganizing a group to represent the area for Richmond, Virginia, to Baltimore. That stretch includes more than a dozen universities, 4 airports, and a major port in Baltimore, plus 2 governors and a DC mayor. Instead of inter-regional jurisdictions battling over companies that are already in the area, there ought to be more collective effort to improve transportation and economic development, organizers say. Often when leaders try to collaborate across jurisdictions, they may be guessing at what communities should be included in a project. And they may confront communities that don't want to be involved, says Nielsen. So researchers hope that their data will give regional planners and political leaders the economic evidence they need to recruit the communities that matter to their plans. So in other words, we have different regions, we have different areas, and just because you're in one specific state doesn't mean that you identify with the major push of that state. I don't know the best way to say it, but yeah, sure. Like, this is something that we should actually look more into, because we effectively live in an integrated society. And that's one of the reasons why I want to look at this research as well, this article as well. But let's continue. This research offers a way of using data to offer a kind of proof that we're all in this together, Nielsen says. So, yeah, this is a quick little video. I found it a little fun to actually think of it and see exactly how, I don't know. It lets you know that there's no suburbs in those cities. It's what does our area need? And maybe this can actually help to a more area-centric government where it actually helps us more work together as a community and not just imaginary line here. I know that a lot of, even when I was living in the suburbs, a lot of my family or entertainment was associated with the city. Now that I live in the city, it's like the same thing. And it's just about your area. And hey, if civilization collapses, maybe we would get, more of a area focus type thing. I don't know. Anyway, guys, thank you for watching the video. Remember, like and subscribe and share the video. Thanks. Peace.